All right, let's get started. So I want to welcome everybody. My name is Pat Lopardo. I'm a solution sales analyst for Canon USA. I've been with Canon for 28 years, and I support the software solutions that surround our Image Runner Advanced and our Image Runner product line. So I hope you enjoy our presentation. And so this is about the security features of our devices. So according to Quora, 63% of the respondents admit they've had experienced a print-related data breach. So most people don't think MFPs are vulnerable, and it's easy to hack into a device if you don't have authentication turned on, meaning logging into the machine. These machines are true multifunctionals: copy, print, fax, scan, and send, and they have hard drives in them, and there's data on that hard drive. Typical breaches, if security features are not turned on or in place, information can be gathered for forgotten prints. So if you click File and Print, you're at your desk, phone rings, and you get busy, you forget that you printed a document out. It could be something confidential, somebody's health report or financial information, and you leave the office and walk away, that document's laying out in the output tray for anybody to pick up. It's a security breach. Data could be intercepted while traveling over the network. A lot of these devices have the ability to take a USB memory stick and plug it into the side of it. Somebody could grab confidential documents and scan them in and walk away with it. So, how do you prevent that from happening? So if we move to the next slide, this talks about requirements of any multifunctional device. It starts with the ability to log into the machine, so the authentication and access. There's different ways to log into our machines. If you want to know and control who's doing something at the machine, you need to be logging into it. So you can log into it with PIN code, username and password, a building badge. It could all be tied to Active Directory. And once you're logged in, we can control and see what you're doing. Information and document security features. So if you are sending a document, instead of sending the attachment as just a regular PDF or an image, we could send it as an encrypted PDF. And that's a standard feature of these new generations of machines right now. Meaning that if the person at the other end gets that email with the attachment and they try to open it up, if they don't know the password, they can't open it up. And we can set rights on that attachment as well, where they could read it but not print it, things like that. Network security features, and those are out of the box. When I take a Canon device out of the box and plug it into the network, what features does it have? And I have a slide that shows that. Hard drive data, what's on that hard drive, and what can we do to prevent somebody from gathering information from that hard drive if they try to remove it from our device. And then there's logging and auditing, which means reporting. So if you want a report, so right now there's a job log in our machine, and if you print that out, it shows like the last 100 transactions, very basic information. But if you add a product called Uniflow into the mix, then very detailed reporting, and the reporting could all be automated where you could send it to somebody at a certain day or time of the month. So if you move to the next slide, this is a great slide because it has all the security functionality on our devices. So if we look at network security, we can do things like IP and MAC address filtering, meaning that if you want only the authorized people to print to that device, we can create a list of the IP addresses or MAC addresses that are allowed to access the device. We can do SSL encryption. We can turn off any unused network application. We can turn that USB port on the side of the machine off, and that's off by default, but you can enable it so somebody could scan to it, or somebody could print from it, somebody could do both. And if you, again, throw Uniflow into the mix, we can control that who gets to use that memory stick by who they are. So maybe the president and the CEO need access because they're traveling all the time. Only those people could use the USB port on the side of the machine. Different kinds of authentication I talked about, so you could log in different ways with your, you could log in with your Active Directory credentials, you could log in with a PIN code, you could log in with a building badge. Once you're logged in, then we can control what an individual is doing on the machine, and that is called device level login, and there's function level login. So the difference between the two. If I log into the machine, or good example, you hire an intern for the summertime. Part of that person's job is to make copies. It's not their job to take confidential documents or HR documents, drop them in the feeder, and email them out. When that person logs into the machine, that send button goes away. It gets grayed out. We can do that with every feature and function of our device by who's logged in. In order to do that, the machine needs to know who you are, and you have to have authentication turned on. We also have function level login. So there's some customers that say, I don't care if somebody makes copies, but if they want to send to email or send to fax, they need to be authorized. So the machine could be left wide open, and then when they log in into them, and then when they try to log in to scan and send, then they have to log in. So that's authentication. Data security. We talked about these machines have hard drives in them. And on that hard drive, anytime you copy, print, fax, scan, and send, that image is written to the work area of the hard drive and a non-contiguous area, meaning all over the place. Nonetheless, that data is on there. So what do we do to make it secure? So out of the box, we can turn on the hard drive erase kit, which is standard. So after every function that it does, it will erase that work area with null or random data. We could also encrypt that hard drive. That's a standard feature on all these machines. When that's turned on, and it's turned on by default, the data on that hard drive is encrypted. There's a hard drive erase scheduler. We could set up a schedule as to when it erases that hard drive. So say every Sunday night, we can set it up to erase the hard drive, and you'll get a report that it did that. At end of lease, standard feature, hard drive initialize. So the machine's coming off lease, you're trading it in on a new machine, you initialize the hard drive, and what it does, it erases the hard drive up to 9 times, null or random data, and again, it prints out a report when it does that, puts all the network information back to factory default. So it puts the machine back to factory default, like if you just first bought it. There's a hard drive lock, password lock. The hard drive's password protected and it's encrypted. So if you take it out of the machine, it's not going to work in any other machine, and you're not going to connect it to a PC and get data off of it. This one here is probably the most important, trusted platform module. What that means, it's a chip on a board that's tamper resistant, and pretty much that hard drive only works in that particular machine. So if somebody had another model of that machine, and they took the hard drive out of your machine and put it in theirs, it's not going to work. So lots of standard security functionality built into the machine right out of the box.
So, thank you, Pat. Appreciate all that. So we're going to give you all this information. I think Terry mentioned that in the general opening session on a thumb drive. So we've actually got further explanations of everything that you saw on this slide. It was a very busy slide, but that's how critical to you from a security standpoint of what's built into the actual device itself. So my name is Lisa Sills. I'm a technical sales executive for Canon USA. I have been in the industry now for 20 5 years. Started when I was about 12. So what I have seen and what we talk about every single day with every size customer that's available and out there is security. Security has become the most important conversation. The reason for that is, and Pat said it, these things are hubs of communication that are sitting on your network. They're a node on your network. They're a computer. They have hard drive. They have memory. They have keyboards. So your information is flowing through these devices, both outside of your company and internally inside of your company. So you've got security risks both directions, right? And if you're not addressing those, you've not thought about it because these have been copiers for the longest time. They do still spit out copies. So Pat pretty much covered all of these. This is just a little bit more in depth about all the hard drive erase and the hard drive. The number one thing I want you all to remember is our hard drive is not Windows based. It is proprietary, and we write over that hard drive. It's randomly scattered. So if somebody took the hard drive out, had an identical device, it's not going to duplicate. It doesn't work. It has to work in that device. So we do a lot of R&D, and security is one of the places that we put a lot of our R&D for that reason. So if you want to go to the next slide. We also have, it's a utility software to help you manage all of your devices that are on your network. And it's a two-way communication. So if any of you've ever used HP WebJet Admin for your HP fleet as a utility software to manage that fleet, that's what our enterprise management console does. So it can detect changes that have been made to these devices. So how do you manage that if you don't even know it's happened? So these are some of the most important things that you need to be able to control, and you need a way to be visual inside of what's going on in your fleet. Go to the next one. So with that being said, those are we had to do a very high level overview for you on the device itself because of the time frame that we're in. We welcome you to ask more questions, get your lake representative to bring one of us in to give you more information. We're going to put a lot of information on that thumb drive that we'll be giving out. Our next level of security would be...
Yeah, so my name is Dan Amon. I'm a senior business development consultant for NTware. So NTware is a Canon-owned company that develops a software called Uniflow for Canon. So, in the opening out back, David did a great job of talking about the different threats that you potentially face today and some great examples of how that happens. And Pat and Lisa did a great job of talking about securing the actual devices themselves. So I'm going to talk about the stuff in between that, which is really managing that fleet of devices, those security settings, and then the different ways that we can push these behaviors out to all the devices on your network and make sure everything is secure. So Uniflow, just go back for a second. Uniflow is a one platform system, meaning that we have these different modules, and you use the modules that you need basically. Office printing are things like secure print, which we'll talk about in a minute, which is just printing to one print driver and then retrieving it at any device on your network. Document scanning, we have a full document scanning module, so we can scan to cloud-based systems like OneDrive and SharePoint Online, Google Drive, things like that. And then we can also scan into different enterprise content management systems, document management systems as well. And then mobile printing, that could be email submission from your phone, submitting a job to the device. It could be using iOS devices with AirPrint, or does anybody work in education? Education, a lot of times they have Chromebooks, you have Google Cloud Print integration as well. And then, again, device management. Pat and Lisa talked a little bit about that with Uniflow. It's pushing behaviors to all the devices on your fleet, being able to lock down certain settings on the device, push out different behaviors based on who you're logged in as. And then we do have a full production printing module as well. If you have a print shop, you can route jobs down there and have an operator dashboard that the operators can manage their jobs from. What I'm going to focus on for the next few minutes that we have left is really the document security features within Uniflow. We'll jump right into kind of where it starts, and that's with the universal print driver. So you have this one print driver, this one print queue that's shared out that your users are going to print to. And once they print to this universal driver, they're going to be able to release that job at any machine. But before it gets to the machine, going to be able to encrypt that job in transit, so when the user prints the job, it's encrypted and compressed. It hits the print server, which is where Uniflow is running and monitoring that print job. It's decrypted there, the job is analyzed, so we know who that user is that printed it, who they were logged in as. So when they authenticated the machine, we can make those jobs available for them, provide different rules or behaviors that are applicable to that particular person or the group they're a part of as well. And then the job is, when you select it on the machine to be retrieved, the job is encrypted again and sent over SSL to the device. So then we get to secure print. This is really, of all of our modules, this is probably, the most popular one, because this, if you walk around your business today and, if you look at whether you have 3 machines or 30 machines or 300 machines, you can walk around and you're going to see jobs that are sitting on the output tray that nobody ever picked up. You can look in the recycle bin on the floor and it's full of paper that nobody ever picked up and it ends up getting thrown in there. So you have wasted costs there, but you have potential security breaches there as well. Think about another scenario too, where you print a job, halfway through the print job, the machine runs out of toner or jams. Canon machines don't jam, but maybe somebody else's machine might jam. I've never seen that jam. And then you walk away because you can't fix it, or you don't have the toner to replace it, or you're not in charge of paper, so you don't have that. So you take your 10 pages of your job and you go back to your desk. The next person comes over and puts paper in the machine, toner in the machine, clears the jam, and what happens? Your other 10 pages print up. Maybe that was somebody's personnel file, maybe it was customer information, something that you don't want people to be able to have, so it's a potential security breach. So those are the types of things that we can address with this. With Uniflow, it starts with the authentication. We can use the same proximity card you use to get in your building. You can use a key fob if that's what you're using. Magnetic swipe cards, PIN codes. We really integrate with whatever system you're using for authentication today to lock the device down. So when you swipe your card, for instance, it unlocks it. It knows who you are. We sync with LDAP, so we know who you are in the database. Your card is associated with that, and then you're presented with your print jobs. So I can simply select them all and print them, or maybe I printed this earlier and I made a change, so I know the second one is the one I really want. I just select this one and print it. So now you've saved money, you haven't printed something twice. Again, you didn't print something earlier that was sitting on the tray that you never picked up because you needed to make a change to it. One of the advantages with this system too is with Canon devices, you can select these jobs and hit the options button. If you printed this 100-page job in color, we have a little price column here. I can say that's going to be a $7 print job. I can change that right here to black and white and watch the cost change down to 45 cents. And change that at the device and save money there. Because we're locking down the device, we can really print from anywhere now. The last thing you want, mobile print is a big thing right now in the industry, but you don't want your devices all open. You don't want to turn AirPrint on every device so you can just walk around with iPads and start firing jobs off and let them print wherever you want, because it's just gonna cost you money. Again, it's security, potential security breaches with that information as well. Because we're locked down, now we can do things like Apple AirPrint. We're the only Apple AirPrint certified software in this space. And what we do is when you print from your iPad using Apple AirPrint or your whatever iOS device it is, you have to authenticate, so we now know who you are, and it's going to route it into your secure print queue. So when you walk up to the machine and unlock it, you see the same jobs you printed at your desk, you see your iOS jobs there as well. Same thing with Google Cloud Print. If you had Chromebooks, we can route that into your secure queue based on who you're logged in as. Your driverless web upload for a web page, you can access SAP, all that. So basically, we have a lot of different ways to get jobs in, and they have to be authenticated before you can print them. And again, because we're doing that, we can now release them from all kinds of places. Over there, we have a couple of multi-function Canon machines, the traditional copier type of machines. We can have all of those with the same interface, same way to log in. But maybe you have some desktop type of printers. The Canon image class line has Uniflow embedded into the firmware, so you can still get a little list of your jobs and release your jobs with those devices. You might have the desktop, what we call compact MFPs. You can route them to there as well. So where you can print to that one print driver, and you can go to any one of these types of devices and release your job. And then we do have embedded applets for HP machines and Xerox and Konica Minolta and a lot of others as well. So if you did have a mixed fleet, print to one print queue and retrieve it truly at any device. Pat talked about this earlier, so I don't really spend much time on this, but this is just really locking down specific functions of the device. He talked about the USB drive. I had a large insurance company that wanted to make sure that nobody could stick a USB drive in the machine, scan documents to the drive, put it in their pocket, and walk out the door. However, some people needed it, so what we were able to do is, through this here, we can set up these access control lists. There was an IT admin group that they wanted to have that ability, but nobody else could have it. So when they log into the machine, they can scan to a USB and it's fine. When anybody else does, that feature is grayed out and they can't do that. So we can do that with device features. We can do that with the Uniflow user interface. So if you have one user that you want to be able to just create reports, everything else can be turned off and they just see a button that says create a statistical report. Same thing with the universal driver. If you want to block certain features from groups of users to print, say the people in the warehouse, you don't want them to print color because everything they do should just be black and white. Take that feature off the driver altogether and then they don't have a choice but to print. This is just what it looks like at the machine if some of those features are off for that user. In this case, this user cannot do scan and send, so you don't want them sending anything outside of the network. So kind of the next level security here, Canon has a product called ImageWare Secure Audit Manager, which is IWSAM. And in conjunction with Uniflow, what that lets you do is everything that's done at the machine, whether you're printing or walking up to the machine and making 100 copies, it's analyzed at the server before that job is released. So if I go up and make 50 copies, there's OCR software running in the background that actually analyzes the document and looks for keywords. Maybe it's looking for the word confidential. Maybe you have a Project Timberwolf and it's looking for that language in the document. If it sees that, it can flag it and send a message to the manager that says, hey, Lisa just tried to steal, the new schematic for the 2020 Toyotas that we were trying to put up. And it can stop it and prevent her from taking that job outside of the network. So this is becoming more popular in manufacturing, pharmaceutical type companies, and even in healthcare as well. So Uniflow in conjunction with IWSAM can really stop anything from going out the door this year. Uniflow reporting is really where the audit trail comes in. Because we have the machines locked down, we're able to see what everybody's done. Print, copy, scan, fax, what they've done, how much of it they've done, what the cost is, what the environmental impact is, and then, more importantly, from a security perspective, I can do individual reports on users. I can see every document they printed. If you did this with the previous slide, IWSAM, I could even have every image that's ever been copied or printed put into a document management system, and you can go back and see what somebody's printed. And then the last piece that I'll talk about here is our Uniflow Online. So we're a 20-year-old company. We've been doing this for 20 years. And about 3 years ago, we started developing this Uniflow Online product. Everything is moving to the cloud. That's really the way that most businesses are going, migrating to Office 365 or Google Apps or those types of platforms. We're no different. This industry is no different. It's going to go in that direction as well. So with Uniflow Online, we have a hosted system that's hosted in Microsoft Azure. So if you're already using Office 365 today, great. Same credentials get you in. We can completely integrate with that. The only thing that's done in the cloud is your configuration and accounting data. Everything else is done within the firewall in your network. So when you print, the job is held by a client on your PC or your laptop or whatever you're printing from. You can still go to any device and swipe your card and see your jobs and release them, and those jobs never leave the network. So this is really the future. It's the future of the product. It's the future of the industry. You see everything moving to cloud services. If you're a company that's migrating away from physical servers or having virtual machines on site, this is the way to go. It's a subscription model. We just, how many users do you have? It's a subscription model. Everything's included in it. You're able to do that in mobile print and secure release like we talked about and lock all devices down. Again, as Lisa said, all the stuff is going to be given out to you, so you'll be able to reference it later. If you have any other questions, please reach out to your Lake representative if you want to see a demo or anything like that, and we can arrange that.
So one of the things that I just want to reiterate that Dana just brought up, we're super, super excited about this online product because it opens it up to all different size businesses. You don't have to have an IT infrastructure. You don't have to have an IT staff. with Lake's offerings for their network services and with their systems engineers. They can help with the integration. So if you have 2 machines or 10 machines or 20 machines, and then we can scale it up depending on what the needs are inside of your organization. And online will give you the most important information is your information, right? That's what that accountability for and that accounting, that's your information for you all to be able to use inside of your organization to make changes and to manage the documents that are flowing through your system from a security standpoint. And he also mentioned from a cost saving standpoint. So when you leave today, please go back in your organizations and look at the paper sitting everywhere. We all have it, right? Even Lake has it, even though you all got yours locked down, am I correct? When you see that paper, especially that bin that he just talked about, every piece of paper in there costs money. So just turn that into $1 in your mind for every single piece of paper. So when you authenticate and you lock these machines down, you're giving yourself 2 things. Security, but you're also cost reduction. You've got the controls to reduce the cost. 2 things that the Uniflow platform will bring to the table is it can help you identify times of the day, what types of job. We've had people that have been running print shops out of their organizations because everything was wide open. We can tell horror stories, on weekends, nights. It helps you identify anything that's going on in your organization. The other thing is just to reduce the cost. If you deployed everything double-sided, that helps with the environment, it helps with cost savings. That's probably the biggest impact. Secondly, do we all still print emails for whatever reason? Yeah, your people print emails? On those emails, usually there's a speck of color, which is what? Your logo, their logo, somebody's logo. So you're paying for that. You're paying the higher click charge because color costs more than black and white. So another big cost savings is you can deploy all of those emails because we can now control the emails and they all come out in black and white. So it's not just for cost saving purposes, it's to give you the information about what's going on in your organization so you can help manage that. So I'd like to thank you all very much for the opportunity to present to you today. Hopefully this was helpful and we look forward to giving you more information for future reference.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.